We're always bringing you the coolest artists, and today's no different. Las Vegas-based indie rock artist Freemoor just released his latest single titled Affliction, and is in the process of finishing his debut EP that will come out later this year, and hopefully maybe we'll see him on the road. We're excited to have Freemoor on the show with us live in Las Vegas. We were just talking a little bit about Las Vegas, but thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Well, wow. I was just listening to an interview with you. I read a couple of your bios on one of your YouTube bios. It says you grew up in Texas, and I was like, wow. Then you moved to LA. So first,
Yes.
Where did you grow up in Texas?
I was in San Antonio. Actually, it was from Los Angeles, San Antonio back to Los Angeles. So it was kind of a ping pong effect, but I enjoyed both locations.
Yeah, you kind of went full circle. Well, you're close to LA, but now he's living in Vegas. But you played drums. Was that when you were in Texas? When you were back in LA? When that all start?
I started playing drums because my mom was always egging me on because she was a drummer and vocalist. And as long as I can remember, as a child, banging on pots and pans. And I believe I got my first little snare drum when I was, I would say, 6 years old. And from that point, started doing my thing. So I would say between LA and San Antonio, I was a prominent drummer among my peers and, doing my thing. And I would say, yeah, in both locations, drums was my first and foremost instrument and love.
Yeah, because when you moved back to LA, did you start playing for bands there, or was it when you went overseas?
When I came back to Los Angeles, I took a friend of mine to audition for a prominent group, and I was there as a guest, and everyone auditioned, a lot of musicians, and they were wondering, why am I there? Why am I sitting on the floor? And he's a drummer, I'm a drummer. So when they asked me, what do? I said, I play bass. So he was looking at me. I said, well, I'm a bassist. And actually, I wasn't really experienced on bass. And I picked up the bass and just did a little jam session. And out of all the bass players, the artist chose me.
Wow, that's incredible. So
And that was my
I mean, you were
first.
thrown in the fire then. It's like, well, okay, now
Oh
you got to
yeah,
play bass,
oh
dude.
yeah. His name is. I'll go ahead and divulge his name. He's like my brother. We still speak today, and I want to thank him for taking a chance on a non-experienced bass player. The artist's name is Trey. He was doing his thing, and he trusted me to lay down the bass and tour with him.
Wow. So how long did that last?
3 years, 3 to 4 years actually. He had his own label, Cabana Boy Records, distributed by Interscope. Trey was alternative. He was kind of ahead of his, he was out there and great songwriter. We did a lot of shows, and it was a big time thing for me because he was very organized and we're up and down the coast, etc. And when things slowed down with him, I moved on. And at that time, I was writing songs then, and he was absolutely supporting me. I was just writing songs. He said, "Hey, we may want to we use one of my songs on his album," but I have to give him a lot of respect for trusting me and helping me develop my skills.
Nice. Yeah. So were you with Trey when you finally went over to Europe, or was that over with? And then when you
No,
moved?
at that time I had left with Trey, and I also started producing. And so from that point, I got the opportunity to work with Venrez. I co-produced his first record.
Oh, nice.
And also I joined a band called Dreams for Sale as the bassist. And I was singing background and also doing some background things with him. But when that kind of slowed down, I was in the works of my own material. I had a rough patch in Los Angeles with my health. And then I decided to leave, stopped in Texas to see the parents for a couple of months. And something just said, take my skills over to Europe.
Alive was in 2019. You did that in like Budapest,
Yes.
Hungary, where it was
Yes, I
produced.
worked with a producer. The first version, I worked with a producer, Arnold Vig. He's in Budapest. He's really amazing. And then we did another version with my current producer and co-producer, Adrian Andros. There's two different versions, so was born actually in Germany. Then we recorded Budapest with Adrian, with Arnold, and then we went on to work with Adrian in Canada. So that song has traveled around the world a little bit,
Yeah,
I
it
would
has.
say.
Well, because it was some places it says your EP Alive, but you work it a little different when you say EP. I'm out there looking for like 4 songs, but you do it a little different. Explain this, Freemoor.
Here's the thing that I was off wondering myself. We haven't dropped the EP yet, as of yet. It's always been singles. And I believe at that time, and I will say that within England, and at that time, I was working with a different representation. So I believe that that was an initial write up at that time. But
Okay.
the fact of the matter is, we've only been doing singles. Now, there will be a full album release this year, and that's factual coming from me. So I want to apologize to my audience and my fans if they did not get a chance to get an EP because it was never created. Just been dropping singles, and we will do a full album with all the songs plus some surprises.
Yeah. Coming this year, so be on the lookout. We're chatting with Freemoor. He's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X. Go and check him out. Afflictions, his latest single. It's out now. And also, you go to YouTube, check out all of his. He's got a couple videos on there that are awesome as well. Because Shine, that one came out earlier in 2024, like in April of 2024. So yes. I imagine you just said it. These are all going to be on the EP. So is the EP? Is it done? Are we still tweaking it? What's the deal?
We're still tweaking it. Just a few that I would say is more technical mastering, mixing, but the tracks I've already laid. So when we come out, it's going to be a little more than a 4-song EP. It should be 8 tracks, and they're going to be hot. And because there's a lot of material, we just, when I'm learning what I'm doing as far as how the paradigm is now, with the industry, I was always mentored to say at this point, release singles. And I have a lot of songs, so we have to kind of narrow it down. So this particular year, we're going to have a full EP. Now, I can't tell you how many songs. I'm feeling it's going to be 8, but it could be less. But I like to go for 8 for the EP. I know EPs are generally 4 songs, but I'm calling it an EP. But it should be 8 songs.
Can't wait because there's a YouTube video. There's an intro to Freemoor that's like 5 years ago, and a clip of Affliction is on there. So what happened from like 2019 to 2024? Was it your health? Was it was just COVID? Was everything took a shit?
When COVID hit, I didn't mean to speak over you. When COVID hit, before COVID, I just landed back in the States, and all these plans were put together. I'm going to go back to England because I wanted to debut from England. I was getting a great response in the UK and also in Germany and all over Europe. And it was easier to perform. But when COVID hit, everything slowed down. It shut down. I was not allowed to go back, had to regroup. And luckily, Adrian was in Canada and we were able to work through the computer. So therefore, we just started all over again. Like I'm back on the scene. But COVID threw me for a loop. And I had to reevaluate a lot of different things. Also, my personal life, relocated here to Las Vegas.
That had to be a total punch to the gut. You did all this work. You've been on a roll. You're building yourself. You're getting there. I've got all these songs. And then the world comes to an end.
Yes, I was, I can tell you that I cut my teeth in Germany, and England was absolutely, I would say, the best part of my learning and also the experience because things were getting real hot over there. And right when COVID hit, I was just coming back to the States to visit and come on back with a few things. I'm going to come back to England, but of course I was told no. And it hit me hard, but I realized, a lot of people suffered through that time. So it wasn't just myself and I had to make the best of it. But, things happen for a reason. And, I kept telling myself, if COVID hadn't have happened, I would have never been able to work with Adrian the way it's working now and certain things that have happened to make the music even better because the particular version of Affliction back then was not ready. Now it's ready. I'm so happy from the results.
Yeah, because is it the same musicians that are on every track?
Pretty much, I would say that myself, I've usually only worked with 2 musicians on any particular track. Myself, there was Tom, who was amazing guitarist. He was in England and Germany with me on some of the tracks, the initial demos. But then we modified them. We went over to Budapest, worked with Arnie, and then we laid the tracks down then, analyzed them. And with his blessings, we decided, let's take a different direction. And we modified them again with Adrian. And then that's when I developed a final I would say my flavor, my feeling of the music was when I got with Adrian. We said, you know what, this works. But I respect all the other guys I work with. They did great to help develop each song to its final representation.
Yeah, I mean the guitar work, the "Sunshine of My Love," the cover
That's
you
Adrian.
did. I mean, it's incredible. If you didn't know the
Thank you.
song, I was
Thank you.
listening to it. I was like, really? I
I
mean, you'd think it's
appreciate that.
almost it's an original Freemoor track.
I just did a radio interview yesterday, and I will say this, just be being myself. We're here having a cup of coffee here. I am so proud of the version because I was scared to attempt to do a Cream song. That's one of my favorite songs in the world. And Adrian said, we're not trying to do it the way it was done, but we're going to do it the Freemore way. And we're messing around with it. But I love the results. It's one of my favorite songs to perform live, and it has a lot of groove. And yeah, I always look forward to having that song in the set. I can't wait to perform it again. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and the guitar work is insane.
Thank you, sir. That's
I mean,
Adrian.
yeah, I mean, just
He's amazing.
incredible stuff. Go check him out. Freemoor. He's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X. His latest single, Affliction, is amazing. It is out now. We'll talk about it here in a second. But first, Venrez, you mentioned him. I interviewed him a
Yes.
couple years back. Great guy. I
Yes.
think after the interview, we talked for like 20 minutes. I mean, it was just insane. So obviously, you know him.
Personally, yes. He's a mentor and big brother.
How cool is this place in LA? Have you been to his place?
I've been to all of his locations during the time when we first met. When he first met me, I'm just hanging around the studio, going to work on a song with him. And what I love about Vin Ray, even then, he's extremely humble. He had a lot of attention. He's working on major projects and movies, etc. And he said something. We just clicked. And one day I got a phone call. He invited me to his house and hung around the band members, et cetera. And he just said, "Hey, hey, Free, I'd like for you to come and just, hang out with the band." And a couple of months later, maybe 5, 6 months later, he said, "Hey, I'd like for you to co-produce my debut album along with Jason Womack, which is, was another dear friend of mine." And I was absolutely floored because I had no experience as far as producing a full band, and he had a lot of major people that played for him at that time. And we became close. We've been close ever since. He's a mentor of mine. I love Vin Ray because of when I talk to him, it's just he's just always grounded, and he's always trying to encourage me and also give me major advice. Just recently, we had a talk this week about what I'm doing, and he has been in my ear. And I just want to give a shout out to him and say thank you, sir. You're wonderful. I love you, bro.
Yeah, what a super cool guy. And I
He
was just
is.
like, man, I go to LA. I'm gonna go try and find him because yeah, he's just for what he does, and well, and it's cool. I mean, because he's a great artist as well with
Yes,
all the other stuff he's doing. He just can't take
absolutely.
time to do it, which but else he'd be a stallion. I think he'd be amazing. But yeah, so how was the? Because I mean, then he comes in, invites you to open at the Viper Room.
I know. He's like, "Are you ready?" And I've been asking him for quite a while, and it always because he was always on major tour. He's always traveling around the world, and this particular show was special. And I'm right down as you say, right down the way in Vegas, and it worked out. And it was a cool show. I took my band up there from here, and we just laid it on the line. And I'm very pleased with the results. It was a nice show, and he did great. That's by the way, he did great. And I got up there and do what I do.
Yeah, it would have been one hell of a night. And I think he had
I
a
like to
pretty
do
good
it.
night.
I like to do it again. I'm sure he's cooking up something.
Yeah, I
He's
heard
always
the
cooking up something.
backstory of your name, which is pretty cool. When you're just going around Europe, people kept calling you Mister Free.
Yes, and I think they were just in awe that there's a guy who just leaves, the States and comes over here pursuing his career. But what I felt, and I was telling a lot of the people in England and Germany that I'm just doing what's been done before. I'm not the first guy to do it. I've named a lot of artists who've done that. And I did it, even playing my demos to people. I was driving, black car service in LA, used that money to support recording. And a lot of people heard my demos and said, well, we feel this is more of an area you'd be in Europe. And that pretty much encouraged me to go to Europe because my sound was a little different at that time. And so they kept saying, "Oh, this is Mr. Free," everywhere I go. And and then when things got a little shaky, another gentleman said to me, "Well, now you're free to do more." And since that time, I've been living with that, Freemoor.
Yeah. When'd you get the tat?
I would say it officially happened when I was in Germany before I got into England. But even then, I was messing around with the name, even here in the States, but never made it official. And it became official once I got over to overseas. I said, you know what, this is who I am, and I feel that way. I didn't want to use it as a alter ego. That's who I am. And then my father, of course, he looks at me funny when I say it. You go, what is this? We didn't name you that, but Dad, I'm Freemoor now.
Yeah.
So it was just a process, and now that's who I am. So I feel comfortable with.
That's awesome. Yeah, go check out his Instagram. I think well, even go check him out anywhere. His tats on there. You'll see it, and it's pretty sweet.
Right.
You'll double take it. You'll be like, "What? Oh, okay, yeah, yeah."
Thank you, Jeff.
I get it now. So Affliction. I mean, how much input is Adrian? How much is you? Because this song, the intro, and then it crushes you, and then the thing pretty literally stops at one point and goes
Yes.
kind of slow, and then it just runs you over at the end again. Is that Adrian? Did you have that with this song? Is that how it's evolved? What?
I wrote the song with the idea, came up with the idea, and I was jamming it. And at that time, Tom was on board. We were in Europe, and when it came to me, the song within myself, and we recorded it. So there's a different version that's recorded. And then once we decided to evolve it, went to Budapest with Arnie, and he had a take on it, and it was along the lines with Tom. But once I got to Adrian, and time had gone by, we revisited the song, and I wanted to make it more theatrical. I felt the intro. I read the news. I felt the wind to your picture. I just felt like, okay, I'm saying this, but when we threw, the stoppage, it's almost, it's just you know how it starts off. I mean, I'm catching your attention. That was developed by me, and Adrian was able to implement it. I just, on the phone humming, and he, okay, it's like this. And I finally went up to Toronto and worked on it with him, and then we decided to, orchestrate it all the way through. But I'm a very outlandish theatrical guy, and people are probably saying, "Yeah, I know he is." He's, but I wanted drama within the song because the story I'm telling, I wanted you to put yourself there visually. It's a visual song, and I felt that the intro had to catch your attention right away.
It's amazing. If you haven't checked it out, go and check it out. Affliction by Freemoor. He's also on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. He's everywhere. He's even on TikTok. So go and follow him. Just go type in Freemoor, and you'll eventually get to him. I mean, you like introspective lyrics. I mean,
Yes.
Alive, Confess. I mean, you're everywhere with these. And Confess, I heard. This is about you, and your dad's involved in this.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to get on to me later. I had a little. I already know. I had a little crush back, when I was in high school, and I didn't really have experience of expression. Me just being at that time athletic and a little shy, and I just went and told my dad, and I just said, he's, what's going on? He said, well, the way I would look at it, son, is that you need to confess it, speak up, man up, and approach the young lady in a respectful way and express how you feel. And otherwise, he said, otherwise nothing will happen, and it'll be like a regret. But I didn't do what he asked me to do. I still drug it on for a long period of time, but I was lucky. The young lady approached me first and confessed it. So I said, wow, what an experience, because I didn't know that she felt the same way. But it comes out to be that we both are feeling the same way, and that's the story. And I'm sure this has happened with a lot of people, so I have to confess.
They have like Bad Company to Lenny Kravitz to Gary Clark Jr. Where do you think you're sitting at, Freemoor?
Kind of a sensitive question, because a lot of people would ask me, what genre are you? And I always say to people, that's up to you to decide. Where do you place me? And I'm going to answer your question, because I've heard so many things, and sometimes I'm surprised, and sometimes say, yeah, that's what I always hear. I get a lot of Lenny Kravitz comparisons, and also Gary Clark Jr.
Yeah.
And I've had a few Bowie comparisons. There's a lot of songs that you haven't heard, but like Confess. And so I feel like personally, but like I'm honored to be compared to Lenny Kravitz, who I have great respect for, and I'm a fan. Gary Clark Jr. and anyone else that has been successful, has left a mark, to even be my name to be spoken in the same breath with these artists, I'm honored. So, but I would say that it's pretty accurate of what you've been hearing, and that's the feedback we've been getting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you dropped Queen a couple times, and yeah, you
Yes,
can totally hear it.
yes, the beginning of Affliction. There's a two other tracks that you're going to hear, and of course, that's my ultimate. Of course, Prince. But as far as my approach to my music, and my the instrumentation, it's kind of it's there to entertain you. It's there to have an effect on you when you finish the song, and I hope you can feel it. You can see it visually, even with your eyes closed.
Yeah, totally. If you haven't checked him out, go check him out. Freemoor, Affliction. Go to Spotify. His songs are on there as well. Go to YouTube. Check out a couple of his videos. I mean, you got to love the sound and where you're at right now. Do we feel like, I mean, we're starting to at least create a little bit of dust? I mean, after 2019?
I'm absolutely excited about the sound and what Adrian and I and the whole team, everyone from, the people that work along with us, we want to get out and play live. A lot of people have been begging to see me live. I'm hungry to get on stage and perform, build a bigger following organically. And I believe the more I play live, the more of, how can I say, my sound's going to refine itself, because I know what I feel, and I believe that we finally have got it right 100%, but we're always trying to evolve.
Yeah.
But definitely, I'm pleased with the sound and the results from the responses.
Yeah. I mean, if you go to his Facebook page, it's all, the reviews have been amazing. So,
Absolutely.
I mean,
I'm blown away. I'm absolutely blown away. And to be honest with you, Jeff, I wrote the song, but when people hear it, they have their own analogy or review, and they get it. And it's just makes me feel good that people are touched by the song and the lyrics and what it means. And it just makes me feel very grateful to everyone that's read and put interest into the track.
and Alive's great. Go check out
Thank you.
that out. And Sunshine of Your Love,
Thank
like
you.
we mentioned earlier, the cover, and even Shine that came out earlier in 2024. But yeah, Affliction. Are we going to see another single before the EP? I mean, or
Absolutely. We're going
release
to
them
drop
all
one
before?
before the EP. There's going to be two more singles, and then the EP will come out.
Okay.
We're already working on the two right now as far as mix and mastering, because once again, now I have people around me who have how can I say, advisory on what should I release and what should I not. So there's going to be two more tracks before we hit the EP.
Can't wait to hear him. Go and check him out. Go and follow him. Freemoor. He's everywhere. He's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, and Affliction is out. Now go to YouTube also and check him out, and Spotify. That's where you can check out all of his singles. Freemoor, thanks so much for your time.
Jeff, it's been a blast. I appreciate you. And I hope to speak to you again. And I look forward to seeing you out there when we perform.
It's Freemoor. It's Affliction. Thanks for listening.
Have a good evening. Take care.